Hello, my name is Atya Mahatmya, and right now I want to present you about my final assignment in completing Coursera Advanced Data Science Bootcamp with IBM specialization. In front of us, already presented my Jupyter Notebook from IBM Cloud Pack Data Science. So this is the library I use in this final assignment. There's Panda, NumPy, sklearn, NLTK, Natural Language Toolkit. So before we dive too deep, I want to tell you that my final assignment is about NLP or Natural Language Processing classification. So basically, my data set is tweets about coronavirus. So on the training and data sets, the sentiment is already given, whether it is extremely negative, positive, or neutral. So I want to make a prediction model that can predict if a tweet is if a tweet have a negative, positive, or neutral sentiment. So basically, this is a classification, and the big theme is natural language processing. So this is I got this data set from Kaggle. So this is my test data set. This is my test data set, and then this is my train data set. So the column that I will use is only original tweet and then the sentiment, and then I will drop the other columns such as username, screen name, location, and tweet at. So the first is EDA or exploratory data analysis. Uh, the first is I want to drop rows with null values, and it is applicable for the two dataset, whether it is trained dataset or test dataset. So this we drop the null values. After that, we want to know if the dataset is balanced or not. So in this is my bar graph, that shows how much tweet in each sentiment. So like this is, for example, the neutral has a 6,000 count of tweets, the positive has more than 8,000, negative sentiment has around 8,000, and so on. And then the last is I want to make sure that there is no null value in my dataset. So I think that's enough for data exploration. After this, I think this is the most challenging part. The most challenging part for me is data cleansing and processing. So the project that I do here is about natural language processing. And the context is social media. So social media contains different types of data, information about user profile, statistic, verbatims, and other content. Quantitative data is very convenient for analysis using statistical and numerical methods, but as unstructured data, such as user comment, is much more challenging. And because in social media, we will find for example, in tweets, we will find like text, hashtag, mention that we must eliminate. To get meaningful information, one has to perform the whole process on information retrieval. It starts with the definition of the data type, data structures, and data structures. On social media, unstructured data related to text, image, videos, and sound will mostly deal with textual data. Then the data has to be cleaned and normalized. Only after all this type, then we can make a good analysis. In cleansing tweets data, the first step that I choose is removing all white space. Uh, yes, there are several steps of the process. Such as from the simple text cleaning, such as removing white space, punctuation, HTMLs, and special characters, and up to sophisticated ones like normalization techniques or such as deconization, stemming, lemmatization. In general, the purpose is to keep all characters and words that are important for the analysis all the same time with the text corpus limited in one uniform format. Then we have the second step, we have to remove URL text, HTML text, hashtags, and mentions. Many text processing tasks can be done via pattern matching. We can find words containing a character and replace it with one another or just remove it. Regular expression give us powerful and flexible methods for describing the characters patterns we are interested in. They are commonly used increasing punctuation, HTML text, and URL paths. Then digits, because basically in NLP, NLP for specifically in sentiment analysis, the numbers do not add much information in text processing. So the numbers better be removed. Then remove stop words. Stop words are basically a set of common used words in any language, mainly determiners, preposition, correlating conjunctions. By removing the words that are very commonly used in given language, we can focus only on the important words instead and improve the accuracy of text processing. So this is the comment. We have to download stop words, and then we make lists contain stop words word. English is the language we use in here. English is the language that we will do the analytics. We will do the modeling. So basically in here I make a function, a clean text function, which remove URLs, remove mentions, remove hashtag, remove digits, remove HTML text, and then remove stop words. Then we apply that function in our train and test data sets. The second big step that I do is to simplify sentiment categories. As we know from above that in the original data sets, we have 5 sentiment, which is ranging from very positive, neutral, negative, and very negative. So basically in here, I want to convert extremely positive become only positive, and then extremely negative just become negative, so that in the end we will only have 3 types of sentiment: positive, negative, or neutral. Then in here we apply the function. In here, like as I said before, the only columns in dataset that I will use is only tweets and the sentiments. So the other columns can be dropped. So this is a syntax for dropping those columns. And then after that, we have to map whether it's neutral, positive, or negative. So neutral is 0, positive is 1, and negative is 2. And we apply those function. And then we define xtrain, xtest, ytrain, ytest. Okay. Now we got to the interesting parts. After After cleaning the dataset is already finished, we have to go into data processing step. The first is implementing Keras tokenizer. We need to convert its text into sequences of integers. We are using Keras tokenizers because of its simplicity and very easy to use when dealing with natural language processing data cleansing. In this scenario, we will use three functions from Keras: fit on text, text to sequence, and path sequence. The first is fit on text. So basically, fit on text is to update internal vocabulary. So we have to update our internal vocabulary, and then so the vocabulary is consists of all the words that present in our dataset. The fit on text method is a part of Keras tokenizer class, which used to update internal vocabulary for the text list. We need to call before using other methods of text to sequence or text to matrix. And then after that, we convert text corpus of tweets data into sequence of integers. Text to sequence method helps in converting tokens of text corpus into sequence of integers. And then the next step is to reshape all the text data so it can be processed with the deep learning. All the neural network require to have inputs that have same shape and size. However, when we pre-process and use the text inputs for our model, for example, LSTM, not all the sentence we have the same length. In other words, naturally, some the sentence are longer or shorter. We need to have inputs with the same size. This is where the padding is necessary. So this is the tokenizer, this is the fit on text, and then this is text to sequence, and this padding the dataset. And then after data processing is done, is finished, so we got to move to model creation. In natural language processing field, especially on topics such as sentiment analysis using classification, recurrent neural network (RNN) works very well. RNN architecture, known as gated recurrent unit, deliver much better results than most people would commonly expect. RNN are ideal for solving problems where the sequence is more important than the individual themselves. An RNN is essentially a fully connected neural network that contains a refactoring of some of its layers into a loop. That loop is typically an iteration, often the addition of concatenation of two inputs, a matrix multiplication, and a nonlinear function. On model creation, based on research conducted from the internet, the best layer to begin with for NLP classification is as follows: embedding layer, bidirectional layer, global average pooling 1D layer, robot layer, and dense expression layer. So I will tell you briefly about each layer that I use in this model creation. Embedding layers are needed to deal with NLP problems because of two reasons. First, it helps dimensionality reduction over one hot encoding, as we can control the number of features. Second, it is capable of understanding in the context of a word so that similar words have similar embeddings. Second is bidirectional layer. Bidirectional layers should be used when we want to use both and live context for current prediction. Now, coming to whether right side context is needed or not, there is a lot of information in the right side context, also in most of NLP tasks. That is the reason why bidirectional RNNs almost always perform better than the normal RNNs. Example, as told, so I watched this in a website as told by Andrew Ng in his course. He said, teddy bears are beautiful toys, he said. Teddy Roosevelt, the president of the United States. In this both sentence, we cannot know what will exactly come after Teddy. And if we just use context from left side, we need context from the. If in this both sentence, we cannot know what will exactly come after Teddy. If we use context only from the left side. We need context from the right side also to make proper prediction of whether next word it bears of Roosevelt. The right side context here which has the information is either toys or president. Global average pooling 1D. Using global average pooling blocks as an alternative to the flattening blocks after the last pooling block of recurrent neural network. Using 1D global average pooling block can replace the fully connected blocks of the RNN. Activation layer. So in this activation layer, I use two kind of activation. The first is ReLU and then softmax. ReLU or rectifier linear unit. Rectified linear unit. The ReLU function is another nonlinear function that has gained popularity in the deep learning domain. ReLU stands for rectified linear unit. The main advantage of using the ReLU function over the activation function is that it does not activate all the neurons at the same time. The rectified linear function, or ReLU for short, is a piecewise linear function that will output the input directly if it's positive, otherwise it will output 0. It has become the default activation function for many types of neural network because a model that uses it is easier to train and often achieve better performance. Softmax turns logits, numeric output of the last linear layer of multi-class classification neural network, into probabilities by take exponent of each output and normalize its number by the sum those exponents so the entire output vectors add up to 1. All probabilities should add up to 1. Cross entropy loss is usually the loss function for such a multi-class classification problem. Softmax is frequently appended to the last layer of a classification problem. So the third is dropout layer. The dropout layer is basically a regularization method that approximates training a large number of neural networks with different architecture in parallel. During training, some number of layer outputs are randomly ignored or dropped out. This has the effect of making the layer look like and be treated like a layer with a different number of nodes and connectivity to the prior layer. In effect, each update to a layer during training is performed with a different view of the configured layer. Dropout has the effect of making the training process noisy, forcing nodes within a layer to probabilistically take on more or less responsibility for the inputs. The optimizer, I use ADAPT optimizer in this because it has many benefits such as straightforward to implement, computationally efficient, little memory requirement, and so on. So the last is loss function. The loss function here I use is categorical cross entropy. Categorical cross entropy is a loss function that is used in a multi-class classification task. There are tasks where an example can only belong to one out of many possible categories, and the model must decide which one. The categorical cross entropy is well suited to classification tasks, since one example can be considered to belong to a specific category with probability 1 and the other categories with probability 0. Categorical cross entropy suit with softmax activation function very well. So basically this is the syntax for my model creation: embedding, bidirectional, global average, pooling 1D, dense, dropout, and dense for softmax. This is the categorical cross entropy, ADAPT optimizer, then matrix accuracy. So basically, this is I train the model, and then the last is I got a validation accuracy in 79%. So maybe I should stop at the six epoch, no, five epochs, I think so. This is I should stop at this at the fifth epochs. So this is the plot where accuracy, the blue one is train accuracy, the red one is evaluation accuracy. Like I said before, that I should stop at 5 epochs to prevent overfitting, and then yeah, the validation loss, I should stop at maybe so the give or take maybe 5 to balance between accuracy and loss. So we can conclude that we should stop at 5 epochs, 5 epochs. So this is the accuracy, the classification report. The accuracy is 80%. So for comparison, I compare my deep learning modeling with traditional machine learning. And then there is in this traditional machine learning, I used light gradient boosting, because light gradient boosting is has good track record in producing good accuracy, and it only requires low computing power. It's fast and suitable for big volume data. So the accuracy is only 50%. So the deep learning is very good, yeah, compared to traditional machine learning. It's much more better. It's much more better compared to machine learning. So I think that's all about my Jupyter Notebook final project. Thank you for watching.